Welcome to Amtgard Leadership University at Keep on the Borderlands. For the next 45 minutes to an hour, we will be talking about fighting companies in Amtgard, requirements for joining, team building exercises. Are we really going to talk about that? And why each person chose their company. This will be a last and final panel at Keep. Thank you for joining us. I am not Dame Raslin, I am Tanner. All right. Thank you, and now a more unofficial introduction. Thank you for joining our panel for the fighting companies discussion. Thank you to all of our panelists. We're going to get started really easy. I'm going to start on this side, and tell me who you are and what fighting company you're a member of.
I am Fuzz, and I'm a member of Randall.
I'm Lady Suki, and I'm a member of the Wolves of Cernunius.
I'm Hiimori, and I'm a member of Soul Invictus.
I'm Lady Cannon Tool Hype Master. I'm a member of the Scions.
I'm Glyn Aiden, and I'm a member of the Ebon Order.
And I'm Godwyn Lancelot, and I'm part of the company of the White Boar and the Odious Prize.
All right. So we're going to start things off kind of open. We're going to start on this side this time. Tell me, what is, not in terms of your present company, but just fighting companies in general in Amtgard, what does fighting company mean to you?
Well, for me, what's important is actually the fighting aspect. We go out there and we have company battles, which is fighting based, but with the company of the White Boar, we're very much oriented towards quests, so we are also recognized as a questing company. We do that as well, and there's a lot of incorporation in what we do and like how we battle game and how we actually play and interact with each other, like revolving around role play and questing. With Prize, it's strictly fighting.
And you said that your first company, you're very quest oriented. Is that something that when your company was started, did you start with that goal in mind, or is that something that just evolved that way?
Well, I think it was just something that kind of came with the characters that were part of the company. It was originally conceived as a fighting company, and some of the people who felt like we drew away from that, they actually separated, and then we left it towards the more encompassing questing aspect as well. But we still always fight in company battles.
Okay.
Sorry, there's like flies in my face.
What does a fighting company mean to you?
For me and for my company, the way that we operate, a large part of it is like the family aspect. We're all very, very close, very interconnected with each other. We're very active, like parts of each other's lives, like both in person, like we've got a couple of different core groups that live in the same cities. We're like, they all, the people that live in the same cities hang out together. We try to visit each other all the time. And then we're all very involved with each other, like online, like on Facebook. We're very active talking and like everything. So being like having the closest in the support also, like we're all very supportive of each other and we're always trying to help each other out. As well as, when it comes to being actually at an Amtgard event, we do feel together and things like that too. So it's having that base and that family.
Kim?
So to me, the Scions are my closest friends, and they are what I consider my family. A lot of us live in the same city. We live in St. Louis, and we do spend a lot of time hanging out with each other. It is really just about a family and fielding together. But we try to make sure that we all field together at the same time. And we're at Keep the Borderlands, and we all camp together. It's just, to us, it's about family and friendship and being there for each other.
I would say, to me, it's more about challenge, about finding people you can pair with that really push you not to just do your best, but be your best. And you may not always like that person or get along, but they're there to push you and help support you, even if through all the things that happen in life, in fighting companies, you really form these bonds, and they're not always good, but you can always do your best, and that's what I love about being in a fighting company, is that I can look at somebody and totally respect them despite different opinions and different schools of thought.
For me, fighting company, at least my personal experiences within the Wolves, it has to do a lot with family. Kind of mirroring a lot what the rest of the panelists have said. When the Wolves first started, they were very heavy on fighting, and if you didn't wield a sword and you didn't want to do that, your chances of getting in were really, really tough. But over the years, we've kind of transformed more into a family in and out of the game, and so the Wolves aren't we're centrally located in Colorado. We have some across the states, but mainly Colorado, New Mexico, and then Utah is where we're most active. And so when we're together at events, it's really kind of just supporting each other, push each other. We try to field together when we're at events, put on a jugging team. We usually come out with 20-some people with pole arms, and that's our strength, and it's kind of what we're recognized as. But it's more than just having that community and family within the game. It's having it outward and basically supporting each other in our goals and our dreams and challenge us to do better, whether it be with our aspirations in the game, within Amtgard, or in real life. So that's kind of what my fighting company means to me.
Well, me being last, it's going to be a lot of just repeating the same things that have been said. When I first joined, and for me, fighting companies is definitely it's a very personal thing, and but it's also something that can change. I'm in Grendel. I love being in Grendel. I love them, my friends, and my family, the people I fight with, and the people I want to fight with. But as been said by other panel members, it's not just an in-the-game thing; it's an out-of-the-game thing, and that's for me. Some people might go in looking for a fighting company just to fight with at events, that all they want to do is get together at events, put on their armor, put on their class sashes, go field a team, and if that's how you have fun, excellent. But for me, it's definitely that in and out of the game aspect. We get together, we fight, we go on float trips, we go to buffets, we just we do a lot of stuff to push each other to be better. Again, both in and out of Amtgard, we check in with each other to see how we're doing in school. We check in to see how work's going, if you got that new job, if you're having trouble, making that new set of armor, or if you're trying to work on a shot. When we get together at our next event or at a park day, okay, let's go over and work on that stuff. Just people that you can hang around with and have a good time regardless of what you're doing.
So that's I heard a huge theme of family coming from the panel. It sounds like there's a purpose-built fighting company that Lanky's a part of, that they want to participate in quests, and that's their goal. But outside of that, I've heard a lot of just family. How does that differ from like a belt line? Anybody can chime in.
So I think the major difference to me, being in the Scions and then also being in the tool belt line, is the mentorship aspect. So in my belt line, I'm belted to Rosalind, who is belted to Lyndon. It's very much a mentorship in the belt line. We work together to better each other. I'm not saying that we don't do that in our fighting company, but the thing is that we push each other, but we don't push each other as hard as a belt line would. We're there to have fun. We're there to just goof off. It's the majority of what we do. We goof off, we have fun, we fight together in the fighting company. And I'm not saying we don't do that in the belt line either, but I think it's just two different things.
If you don't mind expounding upon that a little bit, I think the belt line relationship is almost more of a hyper-focused relationship than being in the company. In the company, you're with a lot of people that you can be friends with, you can get along with, you can fight with. But that focus on mentorship that Cannon was talking about is where you really get into the difference with the belt line. It's somebody that you can see yourself in them. Like people that are under belts to myself, I see the younger Amtgarder that I used to be in them, and the want to help them achieve their Amtgard goals. Just in the way that we mesh together, not just that we can, we're friends and we fight together like in a company.
Much more elegant than I.
Does your company have a petitioning process, and what is that process? Feel free to jump in.
Grendel's petitioning process is if you come to us and you say that you want to be in Grendel, we will talk to you about some basics, how long you've been in the game, and are you aware of or know anything about other fighting companies in the game. And if you're, if this is your first day out at Amtgard and you don't know anything about other fighting companies, we're going to tell you, hey, take a second, go learn about what else is out there, because just because you like us right now doesn't mean we're going to be the right fit for you in the long run. We want you to go and explore, make sure you know what company is going to be the best fit for you. And if you come back and you think it's us, you say, hey, I want to be a Grendel. You go up to a Jarl, which is our highest rank of membership. You say, I want to be a Grendel. And we say, okay, you're a Grendel. And then you're a Grendel.
So the Jarl just gets to say that you're a Grendel, or do you take any kind of vote or anything like that?
To be our base level of membership, which is called a Thrall, there is no vote. It's just go up to a full membership Jarl and you say, I would like to join, and that's that. Now, you do start at a lowest level of membership, but it's not really the same thing as like a petitioner. You are still considered, to be a member of Grendel. We still have your back just like we would anyone else in the company.
For the wolves, we have a petitioning process and we have a time that you have to maintain one of our petitions, which we call cubs. A lot of the times the individuals who approach us about potentially becoming a cub, they've interacted with the members of the wolves in some sense, and so that's kind of how I got in or became interested, as I was really close friends with Amtgard and Xandar, which are kind of older wolves. And for me personally, I wanted to make sure, like, is this where I really want to be? But a lot of the individuals who come and ask us, hey, I'm thinking about petitioning, are individuals that have been interacting with us. One of our main things, for me, I guess I'm only speaking for myself, I want to make sure that they're exploring their options, making sure the wolves are going to be the best fit for them. Because we're really close-knit and we're very close as a family, and we call each other out on everything, we challenge each other, and usually what comes, every once in a while maybe a wolf will approach someone and say, hey, I want to consider cubbing you, let's consider having that conversation. But cubs have to stay a cub for at least 1 year before they can actually attend what we call circle, and this happens at Rakis every year. In my position specifically, I'm sergeant for the wolves, which is second in command, so we have 5 council positions, so I'm one of those 5. And that is my main role, is to run the wolf circle, and you have to have a certain amount of yes votes. So if you have 3 or no votes, you don't get in, and you can only walk circle 3 times total. So there is definitely a petitioning process, and a lot of it is just making sure they're understanding what the company's about, what the family's about, is this for them, all of that.
I would say it takes a certain type of person to want to be in Soul Invictus. Our process of initiates and initiation has been different over the years, and it's gone through some recent positive changes. But if you want to be a member of Soul Invictus, absolutely, we invite you to hang out and camp with us and spend some Kingdom events, or chat with us on Facebook or whatever. But really what we're looking for, ultimately, no matter what your fighting skill is, or your arts and sciences, or your leadership skills, is if you can just hang out. If you can hang out and have fun, if you can smile, if you can fight and smile despite the odds, essentially. Hold your ground, be opinionated, take it and give it, and maintain a friendship. So if you want to be an SI, absolutely, we invite you to hang out, and then you become a Barry. And Barry was a member of Soul Invictus who had passed away. So we named our initiates Barry. And Barrys are usually a Barry for about a year before there's a voting process, which we do in their Kingdom events like Keep on the Borderlands. And throughout this time, we like to do team building exercises, and those are totally up to what we call our full birds, what those team building exercises may be. And what we say when we want to know if you're able to hang out is if you can maintain our level of humor and shenanigans. And we really like to push people outside of their levels of comfort and open people up. So after the vote, you either make it or you don't, and if you want to hang out, that's great.
So the Scions definitely have a petitioning process. It's kind of a two-parter. So you have to call, right? We have a 3 orders of the warrior or 4 orders and something else rule. So when you are under that mark, you are considered a pledge. So if you want to join Scions, you have to have a sponsor in our company. So somebody in one of the houses within our company sponsors you under their house. I'm in House of Lunjo, so say I wanted to have a petitioner, I could bring this person in and say, I'm sponsoring this person, they are my pledge or petitioner. Petitioner is when you're called. You have 3 orders of the warrior, or you have 4 orders of something else. So once you're called, you have to go to 2 kingdom events with us. So keep kingdom event, so long as we're there and we're fielding, it counts. Now, once you've met those qualifications, you have to have a vote within your house. You have to have 100% unanimous vote within your house, and then you go to a vote for the company. And at that point, you have to have like a 75% or 3/4 majority pass. And then past that, you're part of the company. I mean, we're pretty open about the petitioning process. I mean, it's pretty lackadaisical, to be honest. I mean, we talk about it. We have people there. We will definitely tell you our opinions of you. We will tell you yes or no. And I mean, even then, like we've had people who've been petitioners for 2 years. So I mean, it happens. It's fine. It's not like we're gonna change it. But yeah, I mean, it's not hard.
So the Evan Order petitioning process is relatively simple in theory. If you're interested, you have to approach somebody that's in the company, and we have a Facebook group that we're very active in as a group, but we also have our own set of forums on our own website. We actually have an evanorder.com, the website that exists. But we use it because forums can be easier to keep track of like information over like a Facebook group. So we have it set up with an area where we can discuss people who are petitioning, keep track of previous petitioners and things like that, and we use it as a way to like have conversations and keep track of the status of different petitions. And so once somebody officially petitions, they get a thread on the forum, and then the members of the company can discuss on there, so we have the official record for us. So we can look back and be like, oh, did so-and-so ask this question to this person and get an answer like 4 months ago and like what they said. We have in the past had petitions that lasted kind of a very long time. So we actually recently revamped our petition process. As part of that was doing things like setting a timeline. So now once somebody petitions after, I think it's 3 months. It's either 3 or 6 months. I'm having a brain freeze, I don't remember which. But after a certain amount of time, we actually have a vote in the company to either bring a petition to a formal vote or to continue a petition process. So if there's somebody, for instance, that is relatively new to Amtgard that doesn't know us that well, the petitions, after that time period, we call it a stop or go vote. So we can stop their petition and vote, or we can continue the petition. And if it's somebody that we still think could fit in the company, but we're not completely sure about them yet, we can vote to continue the petition and give them like more time to get to know us. Or we can stop and vote right away on whether or not we want them in the company. Like that's worked best. A couple of our more recent members are people that we all know really well, that have been in the game for a long time, that are friends with us, and like already part of our circle of friends. And like we knew that we wanted these people in the company right away, as opposed to somebody that's newer that we still need to get to know. So we have a process for even like getting that handled, which is good. But like it's not like an official strict requirement, but one of the big things from our company also is that the Evan Order began as a Canadian fighting company, and for a very long time was primarily Canadians with only a handful of Americans. We're based out of primarily Nine Blades in Goldendale. I'm the only person right now that does not live up there anymore. I live in Talbot now. And a really big thing for petitioners for us, if they are not Canadian, is they need to travel to Canada at some point. Because there are some of our Canadian members that are not as active in Amtgard anymore that can't cover America. So having somebody that's willing to go to Canada, since we are primarily based out of Canada still, is really important. So that's a big part of the process. If somebody's able to travel up there, definitely, or they go up there regularly, you know. But if it's somebody newer, like there's somebody that we're kind of talking to right now, and like we want them to come to Canada first before anybody like makes a really solid decision on them. So that's definitely a big element as well. And getting to know, when we have our votes on petitioners, we have an activity requirement for people that can vote. It's 6 attendances in 6 months, which isn't even that hard for strict rule. But then the active members get to vote on people. But part of our thing with the forums is that even if you're not a currently active member of the company, your opinion still matters. Like we still want people who are not active to be discussing new petitioners, have input on it. And when it comes down to it, a large part of how we make our decision is whether or not we feel like somebody can be a member of the family. If you can call somebody brother or sister, if you're willing to go out on a battlefield and fight with them and fight for them and have them fighting for you, like that relationship is primary importance. And there have been people that we have turned away before because somebody in the company did not feel that they could call that person a brother or sister. And it can suck sometimes if it's somebody that's friends with multiple people in the company, but like ultimately we need to have that feeling from everybody, or at least most people. We allow abstain votes, but if somebody has a no vote, then it's a no vote. So.
Well, for the prize, we're a relatively younger company, and we don't have anything kind of outlined or detailed as much as these other companies. So with the prize, even though there's actually still a lot of members, the reason for that is because we'll hook people as soon as they show an interest in fighting, and it's mostly local to Wolfgang. So the people that are always up on the ditch field and always asking questions and are really interested, and they're like, hey, and really showing a lot of interest, so we offer them the chance to fight with the prize, and we'll tell them at the next event, Borderlands or Belfast, that's when we're going to have a company battle. And you know, like in that meantime, in that interim, they'll hang out with us and they'll just fight with us in ditching, battle game, and they'll get to know company members themselves. And when it comes down to the events, they'll usually get a headband. So once I'm not too lazy to actually make them, but these ludicrously long headbands, people love them, and they go bananas for it. So anyways, that's what is like before they get that headband, you kind of joke around and consider them junior prize, and once they get the headband, then they're full prize. And like the company battles, because we are a large number, we're all focused on fighting. We're all very in tune with the same direction, and so that really works out for us. It might change over time, but how the company, the White Board, works is that it's a much older company. It's had a lot of different ideas on what it actually represents, and again, there's nothing really outlined or detailed on what we're really looking for. So what happens is that we'll have people pledge to the company, or usually ask members that they're very good friends with, or even part of their families, and they'll ask, like, what does it take to be a member of the board? And then we'll think, okay, well, don't worry, I'll get my company a chat about it on the forums, and then we go through all the details, like whether or not we know them, like do they travel a lot, like where do they actually go. And the White Board actually comes from Golden Vale Central, so it's actually pretty far away from where I'm from. And for the longest time, there's been very few members within my own park, and then all these other members coming up are people that I don't know, so it's really hard to kind of vote on that. So we get as much discussion as we can. We try to meet them up at events and learn about them a little bit more. As much as we can before we make a vote, and then once we do make a vote, sometimes just one person saying no can be enough to say, okay, well, let's hold off, let's wait. It's not really a formal process, you know, and sometimes when people can't say or explain why they don't want to use the company, and other people have very, very distinct reasons why. Like I've no voted people because I know that they don't fight. Very specifically, like they don't take up a sword and they don't go on field. So they might quest, but like they're non-combatant. So like that's not something that I'm looking for, and it's not such a big deal to everybody else. They can still accept my vote and still find different reasons why this person can still make a good fit. And once that person still gets into the company, even if I had voted no, it becomes an instant admission of acceptance. Like I don't turn them away, I don't like talk bad about them. You know, it's just like they're part of the company now, they are part of the family. The White Board still has that family aspect as well.
So this question is anybody jump in if you'd like, and I'm going to split it into two parts. What does your company do to foster inclusion?
Okay, I guess I'll take this. We don't.
Okay.
Like, just to be completely honest. I mean,
Okay.
a fighting company is a group of people that you feel close to. So, I mean, trying to put this eloquently, if we don't necessarily feel close to that person, then, I mean, maybe they don't belong in our fighting company. Amtgard is about inclusion, right? Not necessarily your fighting company themselves. Your fighting company is a bunch of people that you consider close, friends, or family. Or, I mean, in some instances, not. Just people you respect. So, I mean, to me, at least, I don't feel like we necessarily foster that. If somebody wants to be in our company and they pass a vote, great. Like, that's really all that matters. We feel like they belong there.
Any dissenting opinions on that?
I would say about the same.
Yeah, I mean, not really dissenting, but I feel like, in companies, there are opportunities for inclusion to be included, and you want to look and see who takes those opportunities and runs with them. Like I said, in Grendel, we do things together in and out of the game, and we, and they're posted on our Facebook page for everyone to see. So if, we're going to do, like say another float trip, well, about that, and if you feel like you want to be a part of that, then you can be a part of that. And it's interesting. It's you want to look and see who takes those opportunities to further their relationships with the rest of the company and the people, to build that trust, to build that camaraderie.
I think for my personal experience, I think my company tries to be really inclusive. A lot of the individuals that I got in, or when I started my petitioning process, a lot of us were just very different and didn't really have spaces where we belong. So for me, I want to make sure that if anyone comes and approaches, I'm going to consider their potential interests and then see if this is going to be a good fit, and try to allow them to have some type of voice, potentially even representation, because I don't want to ever turn individuals away. But then there are the individuals who I just know from the you're not going to fit here, but the only individual who's going to recognize that and know that is you. And so I think for my company, there's definitely a push towards that, to try to make sure, if you want to try it, then awesome. We're not going to turn away people and say, no, you can't consider this as, something that you're going to try to do.
To piggyback on that question, I'm going to ask the panel again, and just for you to chime in, if you have an opinion or you have an answer to it. Does your company do anything to foster diversity in the company? And if you do, what are those things?
I think in Sol Invictus, the diversity attracts itself to us. We've got a lot of good people, and they come from all walks of life. And it's not about where you come from or what you look like. It's all about who you are and friendship.
I'd have to agree with that statement. I mean, Scions, so the company was originally built on, some friends that had left another fighting company and made this one, and it's just grown from there. These are people, some of these people I've been friends with for 10 years. It's people that I trust with my life. So, I mean, we have that aspect in our fighting company, and I think that we're all from different walks of life. So, I mean, I don't know if that necessarily counts for diversity, but we don't go out of our way to pull people, I guess.
Yeah, the wolves don't sit there and go, hey, you know what, you look diverse, we're going to try to get you in. No, because it's like, oh, now you're kind of targeting. But I think for, just an example, currently right now, we have 5 council positions. 4 of them are held by women, and so, which is the first time in the history of the wolves. And so this is huge, awesome, amazing thing to have some of these women who are on the council with me just be able to have that voice. whether it be representing the company, whether it be, you know, in everyday life, like we'll call each other out on things. I proudly identify as a person of color, mixed race, and my whole life that wasn't necessarily something I could do, but within the Wolves, they always embrace that. They embrace my identities, they embrace having these conversations, and it really provided me a lot of empowerment when I was really young, because I started my petition process in 2008, and so that's when I became a Cub, and then I became a Wolf later on. But I think what I really enjoy about my company is we can have these really hard discussions about things, whether it be affecting us individually or just what's happening in society, things along those lines. And so just going back, for me, inclusion and diversity kind of goes hand in hand. And so when I was talking about inclusion, not turning people away because of what they believe, who they are, what their identities are, we try to foster that and learn from it, and it's always a learning experience. Sometimes we like argue when we don't agree, and that's fine, but we're all together and at the end and we challenge each other, and so I really love being able to have those conversations within my family, to be able to really kind of, let's dig at this, let's talk about this, whether it has anything to do what's happening in the Wolves or not. It's just really nice to have that space.
So I'm going to target this, well, I'm not going to target, but this next question is targeted at the GV panelists. The person that's asking this question says that company culture is not as pervasive at GV events. And they said that we see the difference more when they travel, that company culture is a little more pervasive. GV, is GV missing something? Are we missing something? Non-GV, how do you feel that focus develops? Well, let's start with the GV folks. Do you agree with that company culture is more pervasive outside of GV?
I think it's different. I've seen more events, because I live outside of GV, but my company is GV based, and that's where I played for 10 years. There are more events outside of Golden Vale that are company specific. So something like Keep on the Borderlands, like this is team based, and most of the teams are based on fighting companies. So like Soul Invictus has a team, and like Scions have a team, and there aren't any events like that in Golden Vale. But what Golden Vale has that I've seen much more of is at like regular events, like even like local park coronations and mid-rains, at Kingdom mid-rains, at like the big Golden Vale events, whether they're Kingdom sponsored or park sponsored, there are company battles almost every single event. Like, it is a surprise if there is not a company battle on the schedule at like every single event. And I have been out of Golden Vale for 4 years now, and I haven't seen a single company battle outside of Golden Vale. So I think we have, outside of Golden Vale, there's more events like this where companies camp together and companies field together in these teams, and like there's team-based stuff like the Banner Wars, and there's this and like all kinds of stuff. But Golden Vale events, people tend to camp, like it's not like I'll camp with my company, but you know, other people might camp with friends or with their significant others or spouses or whatever, you know. So you don't necessarily camp as a group like people tend to do in events like this, but they're different. There's, I don't know, so it's just different, I think. Because there are a lot of companies like Them in Order and White Boar and like Omega and like some of the other big companies in Golden Vale are very present as groups of people. But since Golden Vale events run differently, like there's just not the team, besides company battles, there aren't as many of like the team-based events there. So I think that's the primary difference that I've seen.
Mikey, what's your thought on that?
I agree with what Melanie said.
I'd kind of like to chime in on this a little bit.
Go for it.
So I've spent some time between Tal'Dorei and Rising Winds, and I definitely think that there's, between the two kingdoms, there definitely is a difference in how companies are like that for battle games and things like that in events. Rising Winds is very company-based. very company based. Every event, companies camp with each other, and it's like that in Tal'Dorei to an extent. But I feel like we intermingle a little bit more than what they do in Rising Winds. And that may be because we're a smaller kingdom. Rising Winds is vastly huge. But I mean, yeah, I don't know.
My experience with GV events, it seemed the sharp divide seemed to be along the lines of those kind of stick-jacky, ditching kind of folks had maybe a separation, and then people that really do battle games, you're just totally separated on like that kind of pocket. Would you say that's accurate and that might contribute to it, or what's your thoughts on
there are like very larger companies who are actually very much company battle oriented or very battle oriented, such as Omega, which is very obvious. And then you have like companies like the Whiteboard who are much more questing oriented. There have been breaks that actually just like push those groups into forming and actually just like building themselves off of those premises. And there's a lot more variety, I think, that like in the Ebon Order are just a lot more different in like what they feel the company should be doing and like how strict it should be, or like with the prize and the Whiteboard, there's just like practically no rule. If you do what you want, like it'll be pretty much accepted. Like altogether, I don't think that there's any kind of exclusion. If you like, I'll go hang out with any of the other companies, and we're all very just like, come on and hang out, come have a beer, come have a sit at the fire, whatever it takes, right?
Next question is another audience question. What does your company, if anything, do for Amtgard as a whole? Amtgard the game. What does your company do for Amtgard?
So besides fighting, Grendel does honor service. We have members of our company that participate in just about every aspect. We have people that do arts and sciences and crafting. We have people that hold office positions both at Park and Kingdom levels. We have people that run every aspect of events, from running gate, feast, autocrating, warcrating. Because we love fighting, and we love fighting at these events, and we love going to these events and being together, we want to make sure these events are fun, not just for us, but for everyone, for Amtgard as a whole. Because this is, without this society, we might not know each other. We might not have these friends and family that are going to be there for the rest of our lives.
Kind of marrying a lot. The Wolves do, because the Wolves right now are very diverse in the members that are coming in, and we're really focusing on, yes, our core is a fighting company, but we're also going to accept people we find as family and we find as blood of choosing, I guess. We have individuals who are running the office, local and imperial. We have, during events, we'll do a feast, whether that be like a smaller feast, say at brackets, things along those lines. We have individuals who run gate at events. A lot of times, we've had a few times where my company would do, picking up trash, things like along those lines after events, and so it's kind of all over the board. We have artisans, we have leaders, we have fighters, and so within the Wolves, we encourage, find your space and find your voice and find your passion, and we're going to support you through there. So if someone's going to be, taking care of gate during this event, yes, they're going to be asking for volunteers, but we as a family are going to support them in any way, whatever that might be. If someone's thinking, hey, I really want to run feast, I want to do a lunch or a dinner, we're going to support them in that way. And I think that's what's really awesome about having such a diverse group within the Wolves, is you can kind of find a little bit of everything. And of course, the ones who want to go fight, hey, let's get a drugging team, let's do this, or let's plan battle games. So it's kind of a little bit of everything. Right now, one of the big focuses in the Wolves is we want to give back to the game, as well as kind of hold on to our true roots. And so just trying to find ways to do that, either as a large group or just individually at our parks on a day-to-day basis, whether that be office or just helping out. So, yeah.
Rory, what does Sol Invictus do for the group?
I'd say that Sol Invictus fulfills a lot of leadership roles within Tal'Dorei and the Rising Winds, and that's nice. But most of the time, we're focusing on helping each other out and helping each other accomplish our goals. And it's always Amtgard related, and it's always either kingdom related or game related. mostly just leadership in office and encouraging growth.
It sounds like a lot of what I'm picking up is if you're in a fighting company and you're doing something, you're going forward, you're taking action in some way to better the game. You have a pool of people that you can draw from to help you with that, in a sense. Thoughts?
So I mean, our fighting company is a lot of veteran players, and we have a core group of people that do things. We have people in Kingdom office, so we have people in local office, but we push each other to an extent. Hey, you should do this thing, but you should do this thing. I might not help you, but you should do this thing. It's more like encouraging each other as opposed to, hey, let's do this thing as a company. I found that doing things on my own with their encouragement has netted me better experiences. And that's not to say that I wouldn't want them there, because I do, but I mean, if they want to have fun, and that's the thing. Like, I want them to have fun too. And it's fun for me to do, service and things like that. So it's really just about encouraging each other as opposed to, hey, I need 5 bodies. Can you guys come do this with me? I can find 5 other people outside of our company.
It depends on who's active at the time, but we, for the game, there's 3 Flame Knights and a Harem Knight in our company, so we have like a history of the people that are in the company being involved in helping run events. We've actually run a couple events as a company where the company captain was like the autocrat for the event, and then different members of the company were all the subcrats. So, we were the Warcrat and Feastcrat and Questcrat and Raidcrat, and spreading out the jobs for running an event between members of the fighting company. But then also helping run events separately, like supporting each other when you do that, obviously. And then we've had a lot of our members have been involved in local park level offices, in Principality office, in the Nine Blades, in Golden Vale Kingdom level office. One of our members was, Golden Vale went Floating Crown finally 2 years ago or so? Yeah, so one of our company members was one of the actually he was the first Floating Crown officer because the Floating Crown Prime Minister came in before the monarch, the champion of the region did. So like the very first Floating Crown officer in Golden Vale was a member of my fighting company. So we're involved on like the kingdom level and park level as well, a lot of the time being officers and helping run games and helping run quests and events and just trying to make the game better for the people around us. So.
With the prize, it's like for Amtgard, it's kind of weird, but it's just the way that we are is that there was actually a term, like a 6-month term where everything would be company based and would be company competitions every week or every month, and everybody within Wolfgang was encouraged to participate. And the prizes are very localized in Wolfgang, so we were the larger, more dominating company. We realized that very early on. So even like halfway through a battle game or like one of these company games, we would quit our part and just run over to the other teams and just start encouraging them and giving them strategies, giving them ideas, and telling them to be a little bit more ruthless and how to really engage these other fighters. And we kind of pulled ourselves away from the actual competition because we knew that we were already going to dominate. So instead we just took part in getting other companies better organized and having more fun. And they actually had a lot of fun in the end. They gave us an order of the flame court, which was quite comical. We also came together and ran a battle of events last year, which was very loosely held together, but in the end, when it finally came down to the event, everybody just pulled their part and really kind of made it a very fun and engaging event. With the company of the White War, I think that we used to do a lot more. I think we kind of gassed out or tapped out on running quests. We're a questing company because we enjoy questing, but because of that, we were always asked to make quests and run quests and NPC. We do that a little bit less, but like there's still a lot of us that are very much engaged in that direction, and also helping people out with writing requests and like anything of that orientation. Again, it's also a very old company. We've run events before. We had a lot of members in office, but I think that they were much more individual based rather than company based. So I don't think the company had any bearing on that.
So this is more opinion based of yours. company culture in Amtgard in terms of new player retention and just player retention in general. Is company culture a good thing? Does it hurt retention? Are non-company players left out, or do companies create an environment where people that can people feel included and want to keep coming back out? We start left and go right. My left.
Okay. Well. Can I pass?
Absolutely.
I don't know. I feel like ultimately it's going to depend on the new player, what they interpret the company's system to be.
It's always going to depend on the new player, but just in general.
But overall, I think it's good. A lot of people, just in general in life, like not even just Amtgarders, a lot of people, they need places to belong, and they need to feel like they're part of something, or maybe somebody's looking for that group of friends or that family feeling. And I think that obviously, like we've all pretty much agreed, like that's one of the major things for companies, for all of us, is having that place and having that sense of belonging and that sense of family. And I think it's important for new players to come into the game to see companies that are like that and have that positive, like, image. You know what I mean? Like knowing that there are these groups in Amtgard, there's a whole bunch of different kinds. Like they're very diverse. There's different groups of people. There's different goals for different companies, and knowing that there are these places where they can find a place that they can belong to, and it gives people something to work towards. Like with my company, we specifically do not. We'll talk to people that are new, but your petition process can start before you've been playing Amtgard for a year, but you will not become a full member of the company until you've been in Amtgard for at least a year. And making sure that somebody has that first year to see other companies and get an idea of what Amtgard is before they're brought in, I think is really important as well. Because somebody new could just start and be like, oh, there's all these companies, and like join something right away. And because of that feeling of like needing somewhere to belong, and like companies can definitely provide that, but it can be, and that's where like the flip side of it could be is like somebody could jump into something that they really don't click with ultimately in the end. But I think they're definitely important, and they're a good thing for people to see. So, sorry.
Yeah.
Come back.
Absolutely.
So I think that a really important aspect of companies being like a good thing for the game is their approachability. A lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but there are times when some companies are actually just like they're occupied, they're in a company, and they see some new player, or a new player will come up and see, maybe ask a question, and they don't have time for that, so they might reject them and push them away, and then that might become like a very bad like aspect or like first impression, which really kind of set people off, and it's really unfortunate. But like that's just the nature of a company, that's the nature of a Belgian families, that they're going to be exclusive, and those companies are looking for something very specific or something with a little bit more experience. And with new players, it is difficult to say, hey, that guy's going to be part of our company. Like that's the perfect fit. So it's important that new players try to give it time, but we can't just impose that on them. We have to really kind of also show that people really give them time and still give them like some informative ideas of like what they're looking for, and trying to point them in the right direction. So I think that companies are a good thing in total, so long as they're at least approachable.
In my personal experience, I took a little bit of a hiatus between when I originally started playing and when I came back into the game. And I don't think that fighting companies are inherently bad. I think they're a good thing for our game. It causes good, healthy competition. But with that being said, I think that in some aspects, newer players should wait. I mean, I wish that I had, because I felt like I would have had a better time in Amtgard when I came back if I had. And I did find my place eventually, but it takes time. Like if the Scions, were a thing, a majorly known thing when I first came back into Amtgard, I more than likely would have gone there. But it just took me some time to actually find that place and know exactly what I wanted. So I think that it's important to, yes, fighting companies are good, but newer players should take the time to figure out A, who they are, and B, where they want to be and what they want.
I'm going to challenge that a little bit. I'm going to challenge it because Maria said something about newer players too. Is the onus of taking that time and figuring it out and all that other stuff Is it on the new person, or should we be doing something to make it so it's not the new player that needs to make the hard call or take the time to make their decision?
I think a little bit of both, to be completely honest, because I mean, what you're thinking about is you have a petitioning process, right? And that petitioning process is, you know, mostly used to suss out whether or not this person is going to fit into your company. So you could use that petitioning process to your advantage in your company, and people do. It's a good thing. It happened to me, and it was fine. But I mean, it is important that both parties are responsible. But and the thing is that sometimes you come into Amtgard and you're just so excited and you're like, I really like these guys, let's do it. And you get just wrapped up in it. I think it's also part of the job of the company that you're joining to kind of, you know, say, slow your roll, just a little bit. You know, I know you're excited, but, you know, maybe you should think about this some more. And you know, it's good. I think it's partially everyone's responsibility.
More?
I think fighting companies can be really good at a kingdom level, but at the same
Ask you
time,
just to speak up just a little bit.
I think fighting companies can be really good at a kingdom level, but at some parts it can be a little detrimental. You may feel like a certain fighting company as a newer player is more elitist and you don't want to associate with them, or you want to associate with them really bad and they don't think you're cool enough. But that happens. That's a reality.
You're getting some nods and some snickering. Do you agree? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
I mean, yeah, I agree with everything that Hiimori is saying. It absolutely can cause, you know, detrimental impact on a park, and I've seen it happen. You know.
Maria, do you agree? Park level companies might be a bad thing.
So the snickering was because the lovely Diana is operating the camera, and my company actually has been known to have a reputation for being elitist, because we have high standards for our members, and there was a point where we were hitting kind of a problem because as the park in Toronto, like the two Amtgarders, Ursus and Elm, who founded our fighting company, they're both from Toronto, and they were both living in Toronto and playing in Twilight Peak, Toronto Park at the time. And as the park grew, the number of members of the Ebon Order who were members of that park grew as well. Like for a long time, like I think everybody was in Toronto in the company except for me, the only other American at the time, and then a player from Toronto who had moved to Ottawa for university. So our core was very heavily in Toronto, and like things have spread out since then. But
I'm gonna steal it back to Hiimori because we're running on time.
Okay, yeah,
I'm gonna steal it back and continue with where you were.
And that's like I was saying, that's a harsh reality, and that's something you got to deal with. But if you want to be that guy, you can step outside of that. Even though you can recognize when somebody wants to belong, and despite them not meeting your expectations, you can absolutely reach outside of your company and help them grow. It doesn't matter what color your shirt is; it's just the size of your heart.
I think for me, they're good overall because they give people a place to belong, they challenge individuals to grow, it's a community, and that's what we really want. Like Amtgard is a whole community, and then having these little sub-communities is great. But then at times it can be very intimidating for a new player if maybe they saw, you know, a company and they're, you know, out in the field and they really were, you know, super stoked that they did something really cool or something, and maybe they approach them or they don't know how to approach them because it's intimidating to go into a group of individuals who look and feel very close, and to try to have that conversation might be really hard. For me, I'm representing my company everywhere I go. I wear the colors, especially with my position as second in command as sergeant. I have to represent us, and so I try to make sure I'm giving a good impression because you never know what an interaction with myself is going to play off to someone else. When it comes to just the dynamic, when we have, say, wolf camp at certain events, we try to, if someone wants to come and hang out, we always try to, you know, yeah, encourage them too. We've had that kind of blow up where we've had individuals that we invited on the outside to come in, and it might have not have been the most the best idea. Maybe there was some conflict, things along those lines, and so I think some of us are more willing to be like, yeah, and then there's always that sense of, okay, we have to make sure everyone's kind of getting along and having that conversation. But I think overall, fighting companies are awesome, but definitely waiting is huge, especially if you're trying to figure out, is this for you? And so, like I said before, if someone has talked to me about it, and I'm like, talk to the other wolves, like hang out with us, see how this feels. If it's not what you want, then awesome. Maybe we can find something that's a little bit better for you. But it can be intimidating for some individuals. I'm very extroverted, and just going up and like just saying hi to other companies, sometimes I get a little, so I can't imagine for someone who might not have been part of the game for as long as I have. So
Fuzz, good or bad?
Definitely agree that on the whole, companies are good. Kind of off of what Hiimori was saying, sometimes you do get park levels that get overwhelmingly taken over by one fighting company, and as they do get newer people in, they're only exposed to that one fighting company, and so that's all they see. That's what they, are. Sometimes that's what they feel they're expected to do, is join that company because they're a part of that park. That is on the bad end. But again, overall, I think they're good for the game. Like people have said, they give new players somewhere that they can hang out with, feel like they belong, make some new friends, learn more about the game. I'll put most of the impetus on fighting companies. I still agree that new people should wait, but I think the key is that it's on the fighting companies to accurately communicate to the new players why they should wait. Because they're new players. They don't know Sol Invictus from Grendel, from Isidra, from Omega, from anything. And they need to have that approachability that was talked about, and then give that communication as to, hey, there's more out there. This is why you should wait. This is why you should explore. This is why you should, go hang out, camp with other companies, camp with us, camp with them, see, hang out by the campfire, drink, sing songs, whatever. See where you're the best fit, but take your time. This is why.
All right, we're about out of time. I'm gonna do. I'm gonna steal my own question from the last panel I did. Everybody's got 1 minute. This is your soapbox to talk about fighting companies, any topic you want, for 1 minute, and I will cut you off right on time. Fuzz, you ready?
Oh, sure.
Go ahead.
Honestly, just for me, for fighting companies, like we've been saying this whole time, somewhere where you feel like you fit in, where you have fun, that it's going to be your friends, your family, and that they're going to help challenge you, help you grow. But take that time. And you know what? Sometimes people change, companies change. You're in a company for a little bit, and you no longer feel that it's a good fit for you. You shouldn't be afraid to say, "Hey, guys, I love you. I don't feel like I fit in here anymore." And maybe look at other options. But there should be no hard feelings.
Definitely explore options, especially if you're newer or thinking about becoming, a member. Explore options. Go to Inter-Kingdom events. Go to just Kingdom events and see what other companies are there. For me, I would choose a company that allows me to not only challenge myself and be better as an individual, but also a place where I can have a voice and I can make an impact. Whether that be within my own fighting company, whether that be in Amtgard as a whole. Choose a place where you feel comfortable, but not too comfortable, because I think a lot of growth comes from challenge. And really just explore, and don't be afraid to have those options out there. But they're amazing places when you find a family and you find a company, and just building with them is awesome. It's such an amazing experience, and have those ties and to be able to say, I have a family, is amazing. And so, if a fighting company is not for you, then awesome as well, because I know individuals who've been part of the game as long as me, and they don't want it, and that's fine. So
I'm gonna cut you off there. More, you got 1 minute soapbox on fighting companies.
I think fighting companies are great for Amtgard as a whole, and I don't know one that I have qualms with, and it's nice to have friendly competition. And it doesn't matter to me if you have a company shirt on of somebody else's. I mean, I'm still going to be your friend. I'm still going to reach out to you and want to hang out. I know each person on this panel at least a little bit, and I count them all friends. It's easy for me to say that. But fighting companies are like that to me too. But they're more like the uncle you don't want to listen to sometimes. But you gotta stick up for yourself. And I don't want to waste anybody's more time. It's just about family to me and having fun.
Ken?
So I love my fighting company to death, but I think the biggest thing about fighting companies in general is that you need to take your time. That is, if I could give any advice to any new player, it is take your time and find your space. Because when you do find your space, it is one of the most rewarding experiences. I mean, in Amtgard, being in Scions has been pretty rewarding. I can't say that there is one person in that company that I just vehemently don't like. I respect every single one of those people, and they're my family. I wouldn't have it any other way. I wouldn't.
So, yeah, I just agree with all the other stuff. Like, it can be really important to, like, wait and take time. Like, you know, like I said, my company has a 1-year rule. I actually was in Amtgard for 3.5 years, roughly, before I joined a fighting company. Like, I waited until I found a company that was a good fit. And the thing is, when I first joined, my fighting company didn't exist yet. They started about 2 years into when I played a game, and I became friends with them about a year afterwards when I started, or when I joined. So my important thing here too is that for newer players, or even players who have been playing for a longer amount of time, if you don't find a company that you fit in, don't be afraid to start your own fighting company. Like, there are companies like the Wolves have been around for like, what, 20 years? And my company's been around for 10 years now. Like, there are older companies like that, but like Scions is only 2 years old. There's nothing wrong with starting your own fighting company and creating that place for other people to feel like they belong as well.
I'm going to cut you off there. Lanky, I'm going to pick on you just a little bit. Give me something new other than new players should wait. Give me a new thing.
So, I totally agree. Like, the company's absolutely very inclusive. It's a family thing. It's something that you feel like you belong to. You don't want to leave. You don't want to disrespect. And I feel that there's a lot of stigma where people feel like they need to exclude themselves from everything else because they're part of that one company. And that's why I'm part of 2 companies, because it might really depend on your geographical location. So I have a company at my home park, and I have a company all the way in my kingdom. I also come here, and neither of those companies show up, so I try to petition as a free agent, come here and fight with other people. It's not a big deal. It's like, you're looking for people that you agree with, and you can agree with people that are not part of your company, and like, feel great about that, and just join in and have fun and do what they do. Like, whether they're questing, or tournamenting, or they're fighting in company battles, or fighting in competition.
Well, folks, can I have a round of applause for our panelists here? Thank you very much, panelists, for doing this for Amtgard Leadership University.